Hello, hello. What's happening today? Happy Tuesday. Calliope, thank you so much. I made that a few months ago on the Tickety Top channel, app, platform. And that was before I made my full switch over here. I'm still on there if you want to find some of my old stuff. I'm trying to put a little bit of my material from Tickety Talk onto here. Noodles Mama, so good to have you back. Yes, staying warm. I mean, I am in Florida, but for Florida, it's actually a little on the cold side. So, yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Calliope. Appreciate it. I hope I am pronouncing that correctly. If I'm not, please correct me. So good to see you, Lexus. Hey. So, guys, I hope that you have your coffees ready. I know I do. Anytime, pardon my medical device, it's going to scream for a little bit. Anytime I look into characters such as this, I always tell people to have a coffee ready because you're probably going to need it. At the top of the chat tonight, I have pinned a link to the Karen Reed Defense Fund. If you feel so moved and compelled, please shoot a dono over to Karen for her defense. If you'd like to help support the channel, because the channel does have bills, there is a scrolling banner at the bottom with means and methods by which you can do that. Many thanks. All right. So speaking of Karen, there was a little bit of discord online about a certain Burberry trench coat that Bill Reed was wearing. So I would just like to show you guys, and I am by no means as financially well off as the Reeds, but this is my Burberry bag. Okay. It is the only one I have. I bought it secondhand from some, online secondhand retailer. Okay. I have had this bag for approximately 5-6 years. I think 6 years now. I've had this. I bought it either in 2019 or 2020. It's got like a little bit of the plaid, on the interior. But I will have y'all know that I don't think Bill Reed literally just went out over this past summer to buy that trench coat. Okay. If that bag being secondhand has lasted another 6 years and looks darn near close to exactly how it was in the condition that I bought it before, Bill Reed's probably had that trench coat for a minute. Okay, guys? Like, are you expecting him to sell absolutely everything he owns? He's probably selling a lot of stuff as it is. So, hey, Nikki. So good to see you. Oh, yes. Okay, let me go ahead and just give y'all Nikki's rules. So Nikki is our moderator. So please leave your touch DNA evidence on the like button, the subscribe button, all the good buttons. We appreciate that. James, hello, good sir. So good to have you from Boston. If you guys are watching from anywhere else, please let me know where you're watching from. I always like to get to know everybody in the chat as much as you guys are comfortable with, and as much as I can. So, Noodles Mama says, "Oh my word, where are you at, Noodles Mama?" Noodles Mama is sitting in 8-degree weather with a -5 wind chill. Oh, that's right. I think you told me this before. I failed to remember. She's from Don't You Know, Minnesota. Awesome. Very, very, very cool. Well, guys, let's take a little bit of a trip into corrupt Massachusetts. Okay. We're gonna look at the one that they call the meatball. Okay. The reason they call him that is that he looks like he is one conversation with Penny McGee away from a cardiac event. Okay. We're all a little concerned for his health. All right. For those of you who do not know, Michael Morrissey is the sitting incumbent district attorney in Norfolk County, Massachusetts. He is right now prosecuting a few cases that seem a little off to most of us. He's prosecuting Karen Reed for the second time. He's prosecuting a woman named Penny McGee, who, during an argument with her ex-husband, Andrew Savitz, Savitz had a heart attack and passed away. Penny McGee, again, was present and having an argument with her ex-husband and now is being charged with manslaughter. The trial is ongoing right now. If you want some great coverage of that trial, please allow me to refer you to attorney Melanie Little. Larry, good to have you back, friend. My Hoosier friend. If you remember, the last time you were here, I think we talked about Indiana a little bit. I was born in Noblesville. So, yes, Noodles Mama. That case is a piece of bogus, a piece and a half of bogus. I mean, she did nothing that would have caused any injury. In fact, the medical examiner today testified some pretty wonky stuff about there being no significant injury. In fact, he had several other comorbidities, and I am not a doctor, but I think you are far more likely to have a heart attack from having sclerosis of the arteries and having diabetes, and also I believe having heart disease. There was a mention of heart disease. I don't know if that was confirmed or not, but I think those things are far more likely to cause a heart attack than an argument with your ex-wife. It seems that way to me. But they decided, rather than just calling it natural causes, that they were going to call it man's laughter on the part of Penny McGee. Kimberly, so good to see you from Washington, D.C., Washington, or Washington State? Because if you're in Washington State, I have a friend who you might want to meet. Lexus says, if you all haven't watched the new Microdots video, it's a must watch. All the same cops, but investigation was done the right way and sane. Absolutely. Absolutely. So they have proven in the Brian Walsh case, in the Dr. Turek case, and in many others, that they know how to conduct an investigation. This is what I've been saying for a while now. I believe they are hiding behind the facade of incompetence. Okay? Incompetence is not the issue here. They're playing dumb on the stand with the Karen Reed case, but it's complete incompetence. Yes, Lexus. So Braintree is at least where Penny was living. I believe she, for a while, was renting her home from the trust under the ownership of the three brothers Savitz. So, okay, Washington State. So yes, Kimberly and Nikki, you two need to get up and become friends. Nikki is also in this chat, Kimberly. Dickie's here. Welcome. Is it possible to have a mistrial on a bench trial? I feel like the letter F, anyone, if anyone. I feel like if anyone could do it, but I could. Oh, absolutely. Bev is the mistrial queen, Vicky. Um, Now, I'm not an attorney, but from my understanding, I'm just going to answer your question the best I can as a layperson who's watched a few trials in her day. Um, Anything can happen that can happen on a jury. So anything that can happen in a jury trial, just about can happen in a bench trial. So yes, a mistrial can be declared. It just depends on the causation of that mistrial. Some mistrials are declared due to prosecutor, prosecutorial misconduct, or something on either by an attorney on either side. Um, or sometimes mistrials, like in Karen Reed's case, come from the jury being hung. So let's say that there's something going on with the um, attorney on one or both sides of the trial. In that case, if it is a bench trial, you absolutely could have a mistrial, um, either with prejudice or without. So when you have a mistrial with prejudice, that means that they cannot retry the defendant. So it's done, it's over. You can't go the rest of your life wondering when that same hatchet is going to try to come back down on you again, right? Um, but if it's a mistrial without prejudice, that's what Karen Reed went through. A mistrial without prejudice means you can again be charged for the same crime. So, Brandy, hello, girl. Brandy is another fantastic mod. If you're ever starting up a new YouTube channel and you need somebody, ask Brandy. I'm not going to say that she can, but I will say she is a great friend and will do a great job. Yes, 100% overreaching. Been asking Melanie in the chat, but she hasn't answered me. I'm half serious with the question, but also half interested in the answer, the possibilities. I mean, yeah, what if we've learned anything just from keeping a very brief, close eye on Massachusetts? There is kind of a whole Pandora's box that can be opened as far as possibilities. Special K, hello, welcome. I'm not sure I've seen you in here before. Having Bev has the final word. She is the gatekeeper. Oh, yeah, and she will not let you forget it. Will not let you forget it. I just hope Bev understands the verdict slip she gives herself. Oh, my God. That's good. That's really good, Vicky. Oh, my goodness. All right, I think we've been going for how long now? About 10, 15 minutes. So, I think pretty much all the people who are going to be here have gotten here. I want to make sure that those who would like to exit from this chat and go into the Dr. Turtleboy chat have the ability to do that and still not miss anything too important here. So, Charlie, hello. Yes, God save the Commonwealth indeed, for sure. All right, guys. So for those of you who are just coming in, please don't forget to leave your DNA and fingerprint on the like button and the subscribe button. We are gonna look at Morrissey a little bit, the Norfolk PA who is prosecuting Karen Reed, prosecuting Penny McGee for having an argument with her husband, and her husband just so happened to have a heart attack and pass away. She is now being charged and on trial right now for manslaughter. So let's take a look at Morrissey, because there are a lot of connections that seem a little on the funny side. A lot of things going on with his contributions to his campaign, a lot of things going on with possible conflicts of interest. So let's just take a look at him, shall we? Here's something that seemed a little fishy. This is something that you pretty much never see. I've asked just about every attorney that I know whether this is typical or not. And they have pretty much all said to me, I can't believe this was, without consequence. So let's take a look. Let's meet the meatball.
This will be the first statement of its kind in my dozen years as Norfolk District Attorney. The harassment of witnesses in the murder prosecution of Karen Reed is absolutely baseless.
Oh, thank you so much.
It should be an outrage to any decent person, and it needs to stop. Innuendo is not evidence. False narratives are not evidence. However, what evidence does show is that John O'Keefe never entered the home at 34 Fairview Road in Campton the night he died.
Okay, so there are a lot of things about this that are odd just from the get-go. It is highly out of character for a district attorney to come on screen and say much more than the following. Hi, we have found a suspect. We are charging him with the following crimes. You know, let's say that we're talking about Karen Reed, okay? A Boston police officer named John O'Keefe was tragically killed in under odd circumstances. We have a suspect. He may or may not give the name of that suspect. Now, once you have that suspect in custody, yeah, you give the identity of that suspect. And then you say, we're charging, in this case, Karen Reed with first degree murder, right? Yeah, second degree. Man, I can't believe I'm forgetting this right now. Second degree murder, manslaughter, and fleeing the scene of a fatal accident. OUI, under the influence. So that's pretty much all that you will say to the press. And then you might answer a couple of basic questions, and you'll say, if you or come visit me at my office. Yeah, never ever happens. So he's just coming out. He's not even doing a press conference. He's doing like a YouTube appearance, and no press present, and he is speaking to factual substance. That's extremely odd. All right, let's keep going.
Patient data from his phone, recovered from the lawn beneath his body when he was transported to the hospital, shows that this phone did not enter that home. 11 people have given statements that they did not see John O'Keefe enter the home at 34 Fairview that night. 0 people have said that they saw him enter the home.
Look at, can I just like point out, let me make him a little bigger. Okay, I understand that nobody has a perfectly symmetrical face, but he's got one eyebrow that is 3 inches above the other. That's nothing against him personally. That's just something I'm just now in the moment noticing. I've seen this video 100 times, and I'm just now noticing that one of his eyebrows, I'm trying to replicate that. I'm having a hard time. He's melting. Oh, goodness. I love like interacting with all of you guys. You guys are so fun. Sherry's here. Sherry is a big supporter of the Brit Happens channel. Always glad to have you here. Sherry, we are going over Michael Morrissey today. We're gonna pull up his election history and some other interesting things from when he was ordering a pizza at the wheel. Oh, goodness. But yeah, he's saying things like Colin was not in the house. John O'Keefe never went in the house. We have his GPS. I mean, all these things are extremely out of character for a district attorney to be saying to the press. Well, you know, not necessarily to the press, but saying on film to the public. Just extremely odd.
Oh, zero. No one. Some have, without any evidence, pointed to 18-year-old Colin Albert, a nephew of the homeowner, and accused him of attacking John O'Keefe as he entered the home. But phone evidence shows O'Keefe never entered the home at all. Testimony from witnesses tell us that 18-year-old Colin Albert had left his uncle's home before John O'Keefe and Karen Reed had arrived outside the residence. There was no fight inside that home. John O'Keefe did not.
Y'all know he's reading a prep statement, right? I mean, this doesn't really tell us anything, but it's definitely something that's been typed out that he is reading from. Which, you know, with things like this, you probably don't want to go off the cuff a whole lot, but we're all making observations tonight.
Into the home. Colin Albert, the young man being vilified, was not present when Reed's vehicle and John O'Keefe arrived on the street. This is a false narrative.
A false narrative.
Colin Albert didn't commit murder.
Didn't commit murder.
Matthew McCabe, and Brian Albert. These people were not part of a conspiracy and certainly did not commit murder or any crime that night. They have been forced.
Well, that's pretty presumptuous, don't you think, guys? Not only crime that night, according
not commit murder or any crime that night. They have been forthcoming with authority, providing statements.
They weren't drinking and driving. They weren't potentially serving alcohol to underage kids that were friends with Brian Albert Jr. Dickie says his friendship and favors for the O'Connell. We're going to go over that. Don't worry. Buckle the buck up. Hang on tight. We're going to go over O'Connell. I do love Albert pronunciation. Yeah, instead of albeit. Charlie says this Jen is a huge accessory. Abso-fucking-lutely. She is. Faultless. Oh, the Alberts. Got it. I thought you were, when you typed that in, I thought you were referring to the word albeit. Yeah, so forthcoming. They're not involved in a conspiracy. Yeah, I figured it out eventually, Dickie. I'm sorry. Sometimes it takes me a minute, but I do figure it out eventually. Yeah, committed no crimes that night. Mm-hmm. And memberships and all that. I want to have, and I'm so excited to design all the fun little emojis and stuff. So we're gonna have Morrissey with a great big Pinocchio nose, for sure.
Statements and have not engaged in any cover-up.
They are
not suspects in any crime. They are merely witnesses in the case. To have them accused of murder is outrageous. To have them harassed and intimidated based on false narratives and accusations is wrong. They are witnesses doing what our justice system asks of them.
And please correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but he knew at this point about the 2:27 a.m. How Long to Die in the Cold Google search performed by none other than Jennifer McCabe. And he's saying all this with such confidence and authority.
The autopsy of John O'Keefe was conducted by a forensic pathologist from the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner. The doctor found that the injuries that left John helpless in the cold were not a result of a fight. She further found that the line of abrasions on his arm was consistent with blunt trauma, not an animal attack.
Okay, so he said that it wasn't a fight, but you know what he left out? He left out that Dr. Shorty Bello also said that she couldn't say that it came from a car accident either, that it wasn't necessarily a pedestrian strike. So are you going to use Dr. Shorty Bello's whole opinion, or are you going to use none of it at all? You need to pick one and roll with it, Meatball.
A grand jury of everyday citizens heard the documented evidence and testimony before making a decision. The subject of that murder indictment enjoys the constitutional presumption of innocence. Why should the witnesses who have committed no crime be afforded less by members of the community? They should not be harassed for telling the government what they heard or saw. I'm asking the Canton community and everyone who feels invested in this case to hear all the actual evidence at trial before assigning guilt to people who have done nothing wrong. And certainly before taking it upon yourself to harass citizens who evidence shows have done nothing in this matter but come forward and bear witness.
They've done nothing but come
We try people in the court and not on the internet for a reason.
They sure didn't come forward on the morning of January 29th at approximately 6:00 a.m. Brian and Nicole Albert sure didn't come forward. They stayed up in that house.
The internet has no rules of evidence. The internet has no punishment for perjury.
Man, that eyebrow is like independently operated by Morrissey there. I mean, they're not even both raising simultaneously. They are completely independent of one another. This is great. I'm enjoying this. I'm perplexed.
The internet does not know all the facts. Conspiracy theories are not evidence. The idea that multiple police department, EMTs, fire personnel, the medical examiner, and prosecuting agencies are joined,
all of whom had some form of conflict of interest and or were bullied. Should I say bullied? One form or another were influenced, either with the carrot or the stick, by the most influential family in the town of Canton. Am I wrong? Am I wrong, Kevin from South Boston? And then might I just add, the term conspiracy theory originated when the JFK assassination happened. Okay? The government put forward a panel known as the Warren Commission. It was headed by the director of the FBI, basically all of the head honchos. And it was very quick that they put forward a narrative that had, some details that just didn't seem to fit that narrative. So there were members of the public and some members of government who were asking questions. And the term conspiracy theorist was put out as a term to derogate those dissenters. The people who didn't just go along with their day and accept what they were being spoon-fed. Hey, Larry, he is on the Brady Giglio list from Massachusetts. Yes, I am aware, and we will be looking at that too. Yeah, 100% manipulated, influenced, finessed, worked. Yeah, 100%, Charlie. Gaslighting is going on, okay? And we are going to do our best to remain immune to it. 4 days after John died, says Brandy, Healy was pressuring Morrissey's office too. Yes. So this is especially true in Boston, but it is true anywhere. Anytime you have, an untimely passing of a police officer, especially when the circumstances are suspicious, there is a big push, a lot of pressure on every screen, on the news by nightfall. Okay. If they have it their way, by the end of the day, they've got their whole answer, which I understand wanting a swift delivery. I understand wanting to come to a conclusion and having justice right away. I 100% understand that. But when you have that type of pressure, as that pressure tumbles down or rolls down the hill, so to speak, that turns into sloppy work, shortcuts, Saudi police reports. That turns into work that's done sloppy, because work that's done fast is not always done correctly. Okay? So what you have after that, like look at this case, guys. Hang on, I'm going to pull Morrissey off of the screen for just a second. I want you guys to see a case where there were a lot of not the same players, but a lot of the same functions or dysfunctions occurring. Here we go. So, oh, come on, computer. Bear with me, guys. I don't have a fancy desktop computer with multiple monitors. I am working off of okay, stop the screen. Present. I'm working off of a cheap little laptop. Okay. Ding, ding, ding. Here she comes to save the day. All right. This is Sean Ellis. Sean Ellis, back in, I believe, 93. I know he was at least arrested in 93. Sean Ellis was arrested for being involved in a murder of a police officer. Okay. His name, let me see if I can find it in here. Mulligan. Yep. Detective Mulligan. So they find Mulligan not alive anymore. In his car, he had been shot multiple times in the noggin. Now, for Sean, it was more of a wrong place, wrong time scenario. In fact, he offered up to the police that he was present that day, but he had no idea that that crime had taken place, at least at the time that he was there. He found out after the fact. And that turned into a whole host of issues. In fact, two of the main officers on that case later on, they were prosecuted for corruption. They were doing drug busts and keeping the money. They were planting evidence and stuff like that. I mean, these were bad apples on the force. Okay, so Sean Ellis, and you'll maybe recognize this part of the story. Sean Ellis had one trial that ended in a mistrial. The jury was hung. It was like 9-3 acquittal. Okay. They do a second trial, also hung. They do a third trial. And here's the thing, they didn't even accuse Sean Ellis of being the triggerman. Okay. They accused him of just being with the triggerman, so Sean was guilty by association. That's their story. They didn't have a single fingerprint. They didn't have any DNA. There was no physical evidence connecting him there except for a receipt that he had from buying diapers at the Walgreens. And the crime took place in the parking lot of that Walgreens. So, yeah, it absolutely was horrible, Charlie. The way the CW just kept paring down what they presented each subsequent jury. Yes, they with each trial, they were removing witnesses. Sean's girlfriend, they threatened to take her child when they had no reason to. His girlfriend wasn't involved, wasn't there. And then they planted her fingerprints on the weapon in question to make it look like Sean gave the weapon to her for safekeeping, like she was going to keep something like that around her baby. Okay. So, yeah, when you have sloppy police work that comes from this type of push to get somebody paying for what happened, you get the wrong person paying for what happened. It seems like a pretty simple concept. But for some reason, when it comes to prosecuting the right suspect, we need to be reminded a little bit. So that is Sean Ellis. Now, Sean, really quickly, because it does eventually end okay. So Sean is out. He has sued the bejesus out of the Commonwealth, and but not before losing 30 years of his life. Wait, okay, so he went in jail in like 94. So yeah, 30 years almost. At least 20. I mean, it's several decades of his life. You know, that's if you have a child who's a baby when you go in, he's an adult when you get out. That's how much of his life he missed. So, yeah, this is the type of shoddy work that we do not want. All right, let's bring Morrissey back up, because I think that is, at least in part, what has happened here. We have, a lot of pressure to point the finger at somebody. Somebody has to be responsible, and I understand it's a cop, somebody has to be responsible, but don't get sloppy. Do it right. Have an airtight case so that you prosecute one person. It's the right person. You get a unanimous verdict the first time. I mean, again, how is this so hard?
And taking it by a vast conspiracy should be seen for what it is, completely contrary to the evidence and a desperate attempt to reassign guilt.
Maybe we'll watch a little bit of stuff on Sean Ellis sometime.
State police trooper being accused of planting evidence outside 34 Fairview Road was never at Fairview Road on the day of the incident. Proctor and his state police partner traveled together the entire day while other officers were processing 34 Fairview. Trooper Proctor was not there and did not plant evidence at 34 Fairview Road. In addition to having no opportunity to plant the evidence, as has been suggested, Proctor would have no motive to do so. Trooper Proctor had no close personal relationship with any of the parties involved in the investigation and had no conflict. And he had no reason to step out of this investigation.
I don't know that.
Every suggestion to the contrary is a lie.
Earn a conviction there.
This should be seen for what it is and not used as a pretext to attack and harass others. What is happening to the witnesses, some with no actual involvement in the case, is wrong.
That part.
It is contrary to the American values of fairness and the constitutional value of a fair trial. It needs to stop now. I am releasing this recorded statement rather than holding a news conference because my remarks need to be so narrowly tailored to the issue at hand while the prosecution is pending in Superior Court. But the message is the same.
Yeah, Dickie. So just to go back to that real quick, um, what I didn't know, I had heard about it, but again, I was really young too. I had heard about it, but when there is a documentary, guys, about his case on Netflix. It's actually a docu-series called Trial 4, because he went through 4 trials. Um, in the first trial, the ADA who prosecuted Sean Ellis, um, she was so concerned about the conflicts of interest and other indiscrepancies taking place in that investigation that she had 2 of the lead investigators, because there was like a task force of like 60 officers on this case from all different precincts. She had 2 of the lead investigators go under oath, and this was unprecedented, okay? Because typically the DA's office and the police and the union, they have a very what would we call it, a synergetic relationship. So this had never happened before. That ADA was so concerned about what those 2, at least, investigators were doing, that she had them both go under oath, because the star witness, the Jennifer McCabe of that trial, was one of those cops' niece or something. He was banging her mom's sister or something like that. So yeah, definitely make sure you go onto Netflix and watch Trial 4 if this case with Karen Reed is of interest to you at all. And it, of course, makes you wonder if we get a mistrial for this second Karen Reed trial, are they just going to do the same thing they did to Ellis? Are they going to prosecute her over and over and over until they get the verdict that they want? Hello, Laura. Welcome. Laura B. I love your little bumblebee emoji. She says, from what Melanie Little said, this performance by Meatball was unprecedented. Absolutely. This is, again, so out of character for a district attorney. All right. Hey, guys, please remember to hit that like button. That's free. If you want to help the channel, since it is a nitty-bitty baby channel, there are means and methods to do that scrolling on the banner below.
What is happening to these innocent people, these witnesses, is wrong, and it needs to stop.
It needs to stop.
One of the great challenges in this world is knowing enough about a subject to think you're right.
That is just unbelievable. That a district attorney would come forward, not have press present. He's not there to take any questions. Okay? He's just there to make a statement. And he gives what we in the Free Karen Reed community call the hostage video, where he speaks to material details in the case when it has not yet gone to trial. That is wild. Hello, Jess. Oh, okay. Hey. Love you. Love your guts. Hope you're having a great night. Say hey to Nurse Kim and hey to DJ for me. Okay. Any hoozles. So, we're going to first look at how he got here. Okay? So, Morrissey, as a lot of people know, a lot of people already know this part, that he has been the incumbent district attorney and has been rerunning unopposed since 2010, right? That was his first district attorney election. Here we go. Now, this is kind of backwards in its visualization, but I want you guys to see this. Can y'all see okay? Are we good? Are we able to? Okay. Are we able to see this screen? This is Morrissey's election history. So here we go. Now it's backwards. So I'm just going to scroll down to the bottom here. This is the very beginning of his 48-year career in public office. Okay. We're going to take notes. So his career in public office starts with him running as a state representative from the Norfolk district. Okay. So obviously he has an opponent in 1976. So that's one election where he has an opponent. All right, so you have to remember that there is a primary and a general, so you're going to see 2 of each year, one for the primary, one for the general. Okay? Yeah. So basically, there was one opponent in the primary, Dickey, someone of his party, and then he ran against the other party. So, and then Massachusetts, you know, this is not a political show, but Massachusetts does have a tendency to pretty much stick with one party. So if you win the primary on that side, chances are pretty good that you're going to win the general too. So, okay, 1978, no opponents. All right. There's typically an election every 2 years. For some reason, there wasn't one in 1980. Still a representative in 82. No opponents. Here we go. He gets half of one for 1984. Okay. He has a primary opponent and then no opponent in the general election of 1984. So far, we are at 8 years and only 1.5 opponents. 1.5. 86, still a state representative, no opponents. I don't see anything for 88, but here we go to 1990. He does have one opponent in the general. Okay. What do you think, guys? Should we give him a half there or a full opponent? You guys can see that, right? I'll see if I can scroll any bigger. There we go. This is bigger. So right now we're at 1990. This is his final election as a state representative. Okay. Let's move on. He goes into state senate next. Now, obviously, this is his first election as a state senator. So we're going to have opposition. Okay, so here we have another opponent. So we're at about 3.5 opponents right now. 96. No opposition. He's the only candidate. That goes for the general too. 98. No opposition as a state senator. 2000. Y2K. No opposition. 02. I don't know why I felt like I needed to say that, like I was like an MC, but no opposition there either. Okay. Are you guys seeing a pattern here? At all? Everyone has a price. Many people do. Remember his donators could pay life-changing amounts of money to do or stay away. Oh yeah, he's got for at least a district attorney now a pretty hefty war chest. He's got a very, very good amount of campaign contributions, even though he's not even running against anybody. Like, he's just getting fed and fed and fed by the unions. And we're going to talk about that too. All right, so let's keep looking. Charlie Lynn's picking up what I'm putting down. All right, where are we now? 04? I don't see any opponents there. Do you guys? I don't. Nothing in 04. He's still a state senator. No opponents in 2006. Okay. There's the primary and the general. No opponents. Oop, I keep highlighting all kinds of stuff by accident. And no opponents for 2008 either. He just got fat and happy as the incumbent for, we're now at, let's see, we started in 76, right? So we're at 32 years now in public office, and he's only had basically 3 opponents in 30-something years. Let's continue. So he then decides to roll off the Senate table and land a spot as the Norfolk DA. So obviously it's your first election, so we're going to have an opponent in 2010. Okay. So there's one more. And as you can plainly see, I'm going to scroll up a little more. He has not had an opponent ever since. So that's a total of 49 years in public office, and you've had 4 opponents in 3 different positions. So it really wouldn't surprise me, like, if you guys aren't aware, and if you'd like to see her and get to know her, please watch The Young Jerks. The Young Jerks, Mike Crawford brought on a lady named Juna Perkins. Juna Perkins is running this cycle against Morrissey. It wouldn't surprise me to see a lot of people vote for Juna Perkins just for the fact that she's not Morrissey, right? Oh, okay, Mike, you have. I'm sorry, Dickie, you have to watch Mike. He does a great interview with her. He asks some amazing questions. I was very impressed with a lot of the things Juna said. She also went into a lot of detail about what she thought of how Morrissey has handled the Karen Reed case, the Sandra Birchmore case, etc. In fact, she said that that's a decent part of what made her decide to run. So, oh, I forgot to introduce you guys to my new non-Christmas duck. Yes, Dickie. Anyone but Morrissey 2026. I like it. I like it. Okay, let me show you guys my new duckies. If you guys remember, I had Christmas ducks up until about now. So, this guy has a little mohawk. This is kind of just a garden variety duck. This one has a funny hat. Looks like a swim cap. But then he's got ears. I don't know. This one is a racing duck. He's got the number 5. Oh, Lex's taillight teeth is intimidated. Did I cause you emotional harm? Hang on, this is my favorite. It's not actually a duck, but it's a narwhal. Isn't she pretty? So, sorry, I forgot to show you guys at the beginning of the show. And one other thing. So let me pull this up on Twitter. X. We need to find a way to like combine those two profile. So Nan Gallagher, who will be on this show, by the way, Sunday the 9th with attorney Andrew Myers. We're going to have a little Karen Reed legal panel. It's going to be great. So make sure you guys are here for that. It's going to be before the Super Bowl. I'm not going to make y'all miss the Super Bowl. It's going to be at 11 Eastern. That's when attorney Myers and attorney Gallagher wanted to do this. But attorney Gallagher went on Brian LTL's live last night and brought up this tweet that I did. And I was so honored and so flattered and humbled and all the things. So let me share it with y'all. It is a banger. I gotta say, it was a good one. Can y'all, oh no, you can't see it yet. So what it says is, Robert Alessi is about to hand your words back to you on a silver platter in a Karen Reed hearing when he starts his orchestral conducting gestures. And Nan was talking about how funny and on point that was. So guess what I did? I bought a little baton for when we watched the second trial. Yeah, we're going to have the baton. You know, I like my props. I've got my solo cups. I've got my Stop and Shop bag. I've got my rubber ducks over here. So, yeah, there will be no shortage of props for Karen Reed trial part 2 or take 2. We're going to call it take 2 or 2.0, whatever y'all want to call it. Bev knows why Alessi is in her courtroom, and I love it. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I love how nice and eloquently he just like tears everybody, not just Bev, but everybody there. Like, he's just so well put together. And he finds the most eloquent and elegant way to tear you a 3-bed, 2-bath, double wide asshole. And it is amazing. 100% Vicky, class personified. But yeah, he will tear you a 3-bed, 2-bath, double wide one. That's for sure. So that's Morrissey's election history. So if that wasn't enough to make you go, okay, something might not be right around here. Let's look at a couple other things. So, I'm sure you guys watched the Microdots video. Please, if you haven't already, go on to Microdots' channel and like this video. But there is a connection between Michael Morrissey and Bev Canone. I wasn't planning on showing this, but he just describes it. Richie describes it so much better than I do, so I might as well just go ahead and have y'all watch it. Video. Oh, you know what? I don't think I'm gonna find it. So that's okay. No big deal. Here's what we'll do instead. Yeah, 100%. Jim! Glad you're here, my friend. Robert taught judges and their staff at the New York State Judicial Institute. He also taught at Albany Law School. Yes, and was an adjunct professor of law. He taught judges. Okay. So what I was gonna pull up but couldn't find on time, and I don't want to make y'all wait. I was just gonna explain or let Richie do a better job of explaining that Morrissey's wife and one of Bev's parents worked together for like 30 years. Okay. They are like this. And Morrissey also allegedly played a part in Bev being in the position that she's in. Glad you're here, Jim. So there's definitely an influence there. Like, I'm not saying that she's in anyone's pocket. I'm saying that, if Morrissey had a hand in Bev having the job that she has, you can best believe that if Morrissey is placing a big stake on a case and Bev is on it, she is going to do everything she can to make sure he is successful. So, let's look at some of the other connections that he has. Yes, yes. Guys, please make sure you hit the like. Sorry, I'm trying to work with a laptop here. Okay. So this uses some words that I don't know how happy YouTube would be with me saying out loud. So, in place of that word, I'm going to say car wash. Okay? It is a word that involves something non-consensual or statutory. Y'all know what I'm getting at, okay? So prominent South Shore developer charged with child car wash and trafficking coke in Quincy, which is Morrissey's hometown. One of the South Shore's most prominent businessmen is out on bail after being charged with trafficking and car wash, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, of a child under the age of 16. 71-year-old Bill O'Connell, gross, was released Monday after putting up 150 grand cash. Any first reactions in the chat, guys? Yes, yes. Should I do the trigger warning banner? Here you go. There's your trigger warning. Hello, Kimberly. Glad you're here. Yeah, absolutely, Kimberly. So he is a man of many talents, but we think that he may be instrumental in Karen getting her legal fees back and then some. So, all right, let's keep reading about this scumbag. All right, so he was released Monday on bail, put up 150 grand cash. O'Connell is the developer of the hugely successful Marina Bay, a complex of upscale condos Oh, by the way, this is by CBS. Anyway, a complex of upscale condos and shops on the water. He was also instrumental in transforming the old Quincy quarries into the exclusive Granite Links Golf Club. Oh, yeah. Nothing launders money and substances like a good golf club. It's a great way to do it. And oh, by the way, a lot of like very serious business transactions and conversations happen in the super fancy locker room and sauna area at golf clubs. This started in 2011, which is right when, by the way, Morrissey was like getting into office. But I don't know what year it was all resolved. I think 2013 or 2014. Okay. Here we go. Prosecutors say O'Connell traded Coca-Cola for car wash with a minor on several occasions, going back almost 2 years. District Attorney Michael Morrissey appointed a special prosecutor, which, wait a second, rewind that. How often in Massachusetts, at least, because I'm not in Massachusetts, how often do you see a district attorney saying, oh, I have a conflict of interest, I'm out, but I'm going to pick the special prosecutor who gets brought in? He could just pick another person who has a conflict. So, DA Michael Morrissey appointed a special prosecutor to the case, likely because Morrissey has known O'Connell for years. First, when Morrissey was a state representative. Guys, you remember now, we went through his election history. When did Morrissey become a state representative? 1976. Almost 50 years ago. So, I'm not saying that this is alleging that he's known O'Connell for quite that long, but he went from, I think in 2000, the year 2000 or 2002, he went from state rep to the state senate. So I'm going to say at least at the very minimum since the 90s, Morrissey has known this guy. So he was a friend of decades. Okay. So appointed a special prosecutor to the case, likely because Morrissey has known O'Connell for years. First, when Morrissey was a state representative, then a senator from Quincy. I can't speak for the DA, said prosecutor Andrew Berman, but it's likely he didn't want a conflict of interest. Okay, so that was when he was first charged. O'Connell, okay? The girl who O'Connell is said to have done these things with was, I believe, 14 years old. Do not quote me on that, but one way or another, very much a minor, a child. Okay. She, in the middle of this investigation, before it all can go, to the end zone, ends up suffering from a tragic car accident. Cannot testify. It's hard to testify from the grave. And so nothing came of those charges. And O'Connell, you know what he got? Probation for 3 years. Isn't that nice? Pays to own a golf club, right? Dickie says Granite Links is disappointing. Could have been a much better course. There was an incident on the vineyard when I lived there well before this when O'Connell, his friend, while docking his boat. Yikes. I didn't even hear about that. Didn't even hear about that. But yes, this happened back in 2011 when, again, you know, Morrissey had gone from state senate to the DA's office of Norfolk in 2010. So this is just as he's parking his ass in that seat and getting comfortable that this happens to his friend O'Connell, and he has to appoint the new special prosecutor. And then somehow the girl in question ends up not alive anymore from a horrible car accident. And then O'Connell gets probation only and for 3 years. Something ain't right. Something ain't right. And then I want y'all to be able to go watch Dr. Turtleboy. So I'm just gonna very quickly say this because we spent too long on other subjects. I don't understand how it's legal for Morrissey to take the contributions to his campaigns that he has. When you're taking campaign contributions from the people who you're signing their paychecks for, it creates even deeper conflicts of interest and more conflicts of interest. You start to get a lot of problems. So yeah, definitely make sure you vote for Juna Perkins or just somebody. Okay. Not Morrissey. He's, you know, look at what he's doing to Penny McGee. Hang on, let me pull up Penny McGee real quick. Good enough for me and Penny McGee. Oh yeah, I'm sure he skated that, Dickie. All right, guys, sorry, bear with me. I'm just trying to pull up this other screen. This is just like the first article that pulled up. So we're gonna, oh, whoops. I don't think that's the, oh, here we go. Penny McGee. Oh, I spelled McGee wrong in a different post earlier. Oh, well. Remove. Present. Share screen. Here we go. Now we can do a share screen. So guys, for those of you who have not heard, this is another Michael Morrissey special. We're not going to watch court TV. So this is Penelope McGee. She goes by Penny. She's 58 years old. In 2020, she moved in, staying in a different bedroom, but she moved in with her ex-husband after her ex-husband's trust, who owned the house that she was renting, evicted her. Not because of anything that she did wrong. It's just that they wanted to turn together. Okay? Oh, 100%, Jim. She moves back in with Savitz. She's staying in a she's the mother of my kids type of things, right? They get into an argument. We don't know what all happened there, if there, if there was any hands thrown, for lack of a better term. But somewhere in this disagreement, Savitz, let's see if there's a picture of him. Nope, there's not. Savitz suffers from a cardiac event. He has a heart attack. Passes away, and now 5 years later, she's been on bond for 5 years now. Been out on bond for 5 years, still has these 3 kids, one of whom is like estranged to her. I think it's the older girl or something. She actually testified against her mother, and not in a way that was consistent with her prior statements. But anyway, she's being charged with manslaughter because the man she was having an argument with suffered from a heart attack. So what if they had been having an argument over the phone and he had this heart attack? Like, what if it was the same exact conversation, but over the phone? Like, where do we live anymore, guys? How American is the American justice system anymore? She did not cause him any, like, serious injuries. I mean, even the medical examiner was like, no, he didn't have any injuries, none that I noticed, nothing, that would have made him worse off. It was the stress induced by her having this argument with him. Are you kidding me? So I'm just, my flabbers are gasted. Okay. And I'm hoping that yours are too. That you follow attorney Melanie Little. She is the biggest Billy badass of law tubers, and she is covering this case front to back, at least as much as she can, because Court TV and Law and Crime hasn't really been filming in the courtroom. So she's just like calling in and letting her viewers listen. But it is great. Oh yeah, Jim, a lot of the same playbook is being used between Penny McGee, Karen Reed, Sean Ellis, who we talked about a little bit ago. So yeah, some things at play here. And Michael Morrissey is prosecuting Penny McGee for being in the same room as the man who had a heart attack, basically. Just for being in the wrong room. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Nurse Kim, she said that there's been some problems with them, like being up to code and being on budget. And it's just, they're a fustercluck over there. So this is pretty well within character for them. Kimberly Williams, the McGee case is infuriating. How did the guideline even get approved? I know. Probably the same way that the freaking Massachusetts statute for witness intimidation got approved. Some people just not thinking things through. Here's the Massachusetts. Let's pull this up, because it's the same type of thing. Okay? And then we'll go. Oh, yeah, Jay's a friend of mine, Jim. Did you see the episode where she came on here and talked with us? Yeah, she and I are friends. We met through TikTok. Yeah, Jay is awesome. Jay Megan, Nerdy Peak Panda. Yeah, she does a lot of great research. Yeah, we love her. Okay, so what was I going to look up? I'm having an ADD moment. What was I about to do? Oh, yeah, the Massachusetts statute on witness intimidation. Here we go. Title 1, Chapter 268, Section 13, B for Bravo. Here it comes. Save it. All right, so let's zoom in so we can all read along. Bravo. Whoever willfully, either directly or indirectly, threatens, attempts, or causes physical, emotional, okay? Ding, 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 ding. Emotional. That is a subjective thing. That's not something that you can quantify as far as injury or harm. Okay? Pretty big issue with that. Physical, emotional, or economic injury or property damage to, or part 2, conveys a gift. Huh. Isn't that funny? I seem to remember somebody whose last name is Albert wanting to get Michael Proctor a gift. So if they're going to charge Rich Schiffer for one of these, or probably more than one, but for rubber ducks, and they're going to charge Aiden Carney for basically asking them uncomfortable questions and being a little bit of a nuisance, maybe, but then why isn't Julie Albert? I mean, hey, it's right there. It's in the ink right here, okay? Black and white, conveys a gift, offer, or promise of anything of value to, or misleads, intimidates, or harasses another person who is a witness or potential witness or aware of information, records, documents, or objects that relate to a violation of a criminal law or violation of conditions of a probation, parole, bail, or other court order. Judge, juror, basically any court officer or law enforcement agent, or person who was attending, or a person who had made known an intention to attend a proceeding described in this section, or a family member of any of them, impede, obstruct, delay, or prevent, or otherwise interfere with a criminal proceeding of any type, or a parole hearing, parole violation proceeding, or a probation violation proceeding, or an administrative hearing, or a probate or family court proceeding. I don't know why I do know why, but it makes it hard to follow. Juvenile proceeding, housing proceeding, land proceeding, clerk's hearing, court-ordered mediation, or any other civil proceeding of any type, or punish, harm, otherwise retaliate against any such person described in this section, for such person or such person's family members' participation in any of the proceedings described in this section shall be punished by imprisonment of up to 10 years or a fine of up to $5,000. I'm sorry, depending on the severity, up to $10,000. Yeah. And that's based off of what? Being upset, being embarrassed. Okay. So we have the same issue when it comes to whatever statute upon which they are charging Penny McGee for manslaughter. Am I wrong, Kevin? Am I wrong? So Penny McGee had no intent to cause serious physical injury. Penny McGee was not committing any crime. In fact, if we were to look at the evidence, it may indicate that if there were any physical, if there were any slaps, punches, anything like that, then Penny actually may have been defending herself, because she alleges that she was dragged by the hair and, she actually had some injuries from this said tussle too. So, that being said, how is that argument more of a causation for a heart attack than the pre-existing sclerosis, diabetes, the prior car accident, the prior 2 car accidents? There was one that took place within that year, and then another that took place approximately 1 week before the incident in question. So you have this stack of causation, pre-existing conditions, versus this one little drop in the bucket of possible causation. Okay, that being said, he could have opened a letter in the mail 20 minutes later and it said, hey, you forgot to make your mortgage payment or something's not coming out on your auto pay, so now you're behind and you owe all these late fees, and that would have caused him the same amount of stress. Anyway, that's all I got for that. So, guys, again, always glad to have you. But if you would like to help the channel keep channeling, there are bills for the channel. So there are means and methods by which you can do that. Scrolling on the banner below, until we're able to start doing memberships with fun little emojis and soupy stickers and soupy chats and all that stuff. So at least until then, that is how you can help support the channel. Let's see if we have anybody who I need to make sure I thank. Larry, thank you so much for supporting the channel. Very much appreciated. People like you make all the difference in the world. So thank you for your Venmo. You guys are the best. You are the bomb.com. So guys, I'm going to send you either to Turtle Boy, because I think he started about half an hour ago. He's probably just now getting through his little theme song and reading all his donos. But please make sure you go and check his show out tonight. And come back here on Sunday at 11 Eastern Standard Time. We're going to have Nan Gallagher and we're going to have Andrew Myers, 2 New England attorneys who are going to come on and talk about Karen Reed with the chat here in the Savage Patch. So make sure you don't miss that. It won't interfere with the Super Bowl, I promise. So very excited to see y'all at that time. Thanks for hanging out tonight. Peace, love, and butt dials. Have a great night.